This is a subject right here that's very touchy. It could almost be seen as a divided situation. On one side, you have men that feel one way, and on another side, you have women that feel a whole nother. Now, before I get into this conversation, I'd like to give a little pretext, right? The pretext goes like this. So, you have scantily clad women draped all over media, on billboards, when I walk into the convenience store, on magazines, all over the internet. Scantily clad, half-naked women, videos. And it's the old cliche. Look, don't touch. Taste, but don't swallow. You know, I have 3 sons. I don't have any daughters. Yet while explaining stories like this to my youngest son, who's 16, I find it sometimes difficult to have these conversations with him because on one end, I want to remind him that women are to be respected, that his mother is a woman, his grandmother is a woman, his great-grandmother is a great woman, and that he should find a wife of similar nature. However, successful black men are a target. And I reminded him that while obtaining a higher education, the reason why parents steadfastly say, pay attention to your books, son. Don't pay attention to all the ladies and stuff. You have plenty of time for that. You can date and stuff, but don't get too serious with it because at the end of the day, your education comes first. Along with that being said, I always reminded my boys, get your education. When you graduate from college, spend a couple years indulging in your career. And around 33, when I feel the black man is truly a man at the age of 33, he could then find himself a beautiful young wife around 24, 25, with similar higher education intelligence, and a unity of such brings forth a new generation of intelligence. I guess in this context and in this day and time, with the Me Too movement, as well as multiple false allegations against men who don't have money like Mr. Cosby in order to hire private investigators and free themselves from the prison industrial complex. They're sitting behind bars right now wondering, when is going to be my day, dear Lord? When am I going to be freed from injustice? Let's take a look at what happened to Bill today.
Good afternoon. We're back with more breaking news about Bill Cosby. You see him there now outside his home. The 83-year-old entertainer released from prison this afternoon. He's returned to his home near Philadelphia, and that is where, after the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania overturned his sexual assault conviction.
Now, you see, based on the facts of the case, it was overturned due to lack of DNA. So what usually happens during a rape is after a woman reports it, the hospital then takes a culture or a sample of the woman to ensure that she is not telling a false allegation. Now, I'm not sure how it worked 30 years ago when this allegedly took place in the 70s, 40 years ago, who knows? 80s, I'm not really absolutely sure of the date. But what I am sure of is that if they did keep DNA that long, that means that they had a special priority for it. And it looks like that priority was to land a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar, depending on how you see or look at it, superstar in the black community. One with a PhD, one who has steadfastly left a positive image in the community, and some would even say because of the character of Dr. Huxtable, in which Mr. Cosby not only wrote and directed that TV show, but also played the character known as Mr. Huxtable or Dr. Huxtable, gave a segue for President Barack Obama to become the 44th President of the United States of America. So let's rewind this a little bit. Let's rewind this back to the early 90s when Mr. William H. Cosby tried to purchase the billion-dollar multimedia facet known as NBC, or the National Broadcast something or the other. That was his first downfall, because not only was Mr. Cosby being targeted by COINTELPRO based on some of his PSA, based on the commentary in which was so positive from the cartoon known as Fat Albert, as well as the Cosby Show and A Different World. He led an exemplary television career and media career as a comedian. That can't be overlooked. However, there's always that one situation where they want to use one of us to remind all of us to stay in our place. Similar to what happened to Nipsey Hussle. You know, some of these times, these things take place and we don't know whether to believe what's going on. Is this a psyop? What? But trouble started for Mr. Cosby a long time ago by the unscrupulous murder of his son by certain assailants claiming to be illegitimate children of Mr. Cosby. Now, it's no wonder everybody was quick to believe that Mr. Cosby not only was accused, but was guilty of cocktail drugging women and having sex with them without their permission due to them being unconscious. That's strange because Mr. Cosby was very much a superstar during the time that this was alleged to take place, and you would think someone of Mr. Cosby's stature and poise in the black community, why would he have to cocktail a scarecrow-looking chick like this, have sex with her when Camille looks a million times better? Like, I mean, look at this woman. Maybe time and age hasn't been too kind, but I have to believe that banana-faced, long-neck woman right there couldn't have looked much better when she was younger. I mean, her face is literally shaped like a banana, and her eyebrows looks sinister as fuck. But when you show up with a Rod Stewart perm as a woman, with a Tom Cruise jacket on from Risky Business, how the hell am I supposed to take that serious? I mean, you got the weird Al Yankovic haircut going on with the Eddie Munster cowlick in the front and shit. You know, with the Bon Jovi perm and shit. Fuck no, I refuse to believe it. And I know that takes certain intelligent conversation to the gutter. And so be it. Because the statute of limitations apparently doesn't apply to rich black moguls. And since my man served 3 years in a state penitentiary based on faulty DNA that was only proven because Mr. Cosby had the financial ability to do so. Without that, he would have been sitting there, and when he was released, we would have assuredly, threw him in the trash, kind of like what we're doing to R. Kelly right now. And do I think that's right? Well, that's a whole nother story. But I'll leave you with this segue about that for the next commentary. Where were those young ladies' parents during these episodes? Back in the Bill Cosby, why will y'all save DNA evidence for over 40 years just to convict him in his convalescent years? It doesn't really make any sense. I would scratch my head daily saying, 80-year-old Bill Cosby is really in the fucking penitentiary. Are you serious? And then I figured out this got to be similar to the Tupac situation, because Tupac was never officially ever charged with rape. He was charged with disorderly conduct. That's what he was charged with, and you can Google that. So why, when Tupac Shakur didn't have a prison record previously of any sort, or Mr. Cosby, why were they given prison sentences when there wasn't even for sure rape charges? And you can't tell me that the DA and the prosecution didn't know these facts prior to the case. Maybe they were just hoping to get it shoved through, or maybe the powers that be wanted to teach Mr. Cosby a lesson. And I happen to believe that the powers that be aren't just white folks. They are black folks too, very powerful black folks that we don't get to see that often, like Bob Johnson, so forth and so on. Not accusing Bob Johnson in any way, so I would like to make sure I mention that. But it just seems very funny and fishy that these mogul, multi-million-dollar executive producing black men end up in prison without ever previously have been convicted of anything. Was there not an offer of probation, some sort of deferred situation going on? These are questions that I ponder on, but I'm glad to see you on, Mr. Cosby. Hopefully, in the last years of your life, you get to live at least 3 years longer than you were intended to. I can't wait till you file that civil suit. And when I say go for the gusto,
get it, double up on it.